This article describes the energy and electricity production, consumption and import in Egypt. Egypt is classified as having a high power system size. As of 2010, 100% of the Egyptian population has access to electricity. When electricity was first introduced in Egypt in 1893, the generation and distribution of electricity was practiced exclusively by private companies. In 1962, the generation, transmission, and distribution of electricity were nationalized under 3 authorities, leaving the government as the sole owner and operator of all electrical companies. These 3 authorities were replaced in 1965 by the Public Egyptian Corporation for Electricity, which remained active until 1976 when it was converted into the Egypt Electricity Authority as decreed by Electricity Sector Law No. 12. In 1978, the Egypt Electricity Authority supervised the establishment of 7 geographically divided electricity distribution companies. An additional electrical power distribution authority was established in 1983 as a means of supervising distribution companies which had become independent of the Egypt Electricity Authority. Between 1996 and 2000, a series of laws and presidential decrees were passed to reorganize and regulate the growing electrical industry. Between 2000 and 2001, the EEHC implemented a division in the organization of Egypt's electrical management framework. Generation activity was separated from distribution activity along with the separation of control and transmission between ultra-high voltage and high voltage networks. This division rearranged the industry to consist of 13 companies. 1 company for electricity transmission, 1 company for hydroelectric power production, 4 companies for thermal power production, and 7 companies for electricity distribution. In 2002, the Delta Company for Electricity Distribution divided into North Delta and South Delta, increasing the number of companies to 14. In 2004, the Cairo Company for Electricity Distribution divided into North Cairo and South Cairo in addition to the Delta Company for Electricity Production dividing into 3 companies: East Delta, Middle Delta and West Delta. Currently, there are 16 companies affiliated with the EEHC that make up the Egyptian electric utility system. The production companies are made up of Cairo, East Delta, Middle Delta, West Delta, Upper Egypt, and hydroplants electricity production companies. Transmission Company, Egyptian Electricity Transmission Company. Distribution companies, North Cairo, South Cairo, Alexandria, Canal, North Delta, South Delta, El Beheira, Middle Egypt, and Upper Egypt electricity distribution companies. Since the early 2000s, power outage rates and durations, as well as distribution system losses, have trended downwards, indicating that distribution companies have improved their overall customer service quality over the past decade. However, Egypt has seen a great weakening in its supply security. The power system's generation reserve capacity declined from 20% in the early 2000s to 10% by the 2010s. The Egyptian power system is now significantly less able to avoid power shortages during annual peak demand periods, which are typically the afternoons on the hottest days of the year. The weakening of Egypt's supply security has caused widespread social issues in the 2010s. To deal with the extremely high demand for electricity, rolling blackouts and power cuts were implemented throughout the summer of 2012, causing great tension between the government and the people of Egypt. Angry residents from many villages protested the rolling blackouts by threatening to not pay their electricity bills and to sue their electricity provider. A campaign entitled, "We Will Not Pay," was organized to encourage people to not pay their bills until the electrical service was stable once again. Residents from the Bardeen village in Zagazig also protested the unstable supply of electricity by blocking the Belbais Zagazig road. The government released statements encouraging people to ration their electricity consumption and announced that work was being done to generate an additional 1,800 megawatts of power. Minister of Petroleum Abdullah Ghorab reiterated the importance of conserving electricity to avoid a state-implemented policy of load shedding. Egypt is an important non-OPEC energy producer. It has the sixth largest proved oil reserves in Africa. Over half of these reserves are offshore reserves. Although Egypt is not a member of OPEC, it is a member of the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries. Commercial quantities of oil were first found in 1908, and more petroleum was found in the late 1930s along the Gulf of Suez. Later, large oil fields were discovered in the Sinai Peninsula, the Gulf of Suez, the Western Desert, and the Eastern Desert. The Abu Rudais and Ras Sudar oil fields in the Sinai, captured by Israel in 1967, were returned to Egyptian control in November 1975, and the remaining Sinai oil,